gentlemen, welcome back to the Leaders Dialogue Show. We are privileged to have Mr. John Ng'ang'a. Mr. John Ng'ang'a, on matters politics, is there a form of government that can control those leaders with bad appetites?
Obviously, yes.
Yeah.
The worst form of government is a government where one person is in control. Mm-hmm. Everybody has allegiance to him. Mm-hmm. Shakespeare said, and so far he has not been proved wrong anywhere, that power corrupts. And if that power is actually absolute power, it corrupts absolutely. And that has been proved to be true. Yeah. If we are left by our parents to do something, none of us is alone. Yes. We will have power, but because it's shared power, I'm very careful what I do because you report us to the parents. But if you are made in charge, and the parents cannot listen to you, you can create havoc for your siblings. Yes. So power, any place where one person or two people have power, unadulterated power, without any control, there's a problem. You know, the book of Ecclesiastes says, when you see one leader, don't be too impressed. There is a bigger one somewhere. And that's a concept that is right for good governance. There must be always somebody. Nobody should have absolute power. Yes. That's why in a company you have managers reporting to a CEO, but a CEO also reports to the board. Yes. So when there is no board meeting, he looks like he's in charge. Yeah. But everybody knows when the board meets, they could change the policies. Yes. They could even fire him. The same thing with a normal democracy. You can be our leader, but if you try to be dictatorial, the next elections, we vote you out. Of course, in bad governance, the first thing to go is the elections, where you are having elections that are fake. That means the dictator is the one who determines when you leave. So, all that I'm saying in order to say, in any government where power is not shared, where power is not checked, is a bad governance. And we need to do it. Why are we doing that? Because even the very best politician, you have no idea what will happen to him when he gets power. He was a poor man when he was asking us to elect him. Yes. Now we elect him, we are giving him a very good salary. He has power. Who is he going to become? So, since you do not know who can change and who cannot change, the best thing would be for you to create systems that control the person. Yes. So that even whenever he is tempted, he realizes he will be in trouble. Because of fearing trouble, it kind of controls his appetite. So that's the first thing that we need to be about. So any good governance ensures nobody has absolute power. Yes. For example, in most democracies, you have judiciary as part of the government, but totally independent. There's no way you cannot remove the guy. He can make a wrong judgment, but you still can't remove him. Yes. You have to obey. You can only appeal the judgment to yet higher. Of course, that's why we had a court of appeal. Now we have created a Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court has 7 judges, hoping that you cannot bribe all the 7. Yes. So all that the judiciary is created to control the politician, the executive. So that if you sit on top of a small man, there's no, you are the bosses, but he can go to court. And because the court does not report to the executive, they can tell the court, the court can tell the executive, you must pay for what you did. Yes. Now, so that's a control we are talking about. Yes. So any country that does not have an independent judiciary is a country in problems. Because it means that the judges can be bribed, the judges have no integrity, and they are supposed to be checking people who already having problem with integrity. So there will be a problem. So we need to find a way of ensuring that we have a system that ensures any judge who is suspect in terms of integrity or in his understanding of the law
Yes.
cannot last.
Yeah.
We need to create a system that ensures that.
Yeah.
But I say, let's come back to the executive.
Yeah.
We need to have an executive that is brought in clearly by a very independent electoral system. It needs to be such that the vote of the Mwananchi counts. So that if 5 of us agree not to vote for you, you and your mother cannot make you win. With the bad electoral systems, you end up in problems. Everybody says, I won.
Yeah.
You know, like recently in Congo. Now who won? Because it becomes an issue.
Yes.
But if you create a system, transparent, where you can go back to the numbers and check, you certainly, that's why they even bring foreigners, hoping that the foreigners cannot be bribed themselves, to ensure, because you see, all that is to deal with this power. Because you cannot avoid giving people power. We only talk about checking that power.
Yes. Yes.
So a good electoral system ensures a bad man cannot be re-elected. Let's now come. So that is judiciary, the executive. There is now the legislature, the place where laws are made.
Yes.
In other words, the executive, who are the doers, they are the ones with the power, can be checked by the judiciary, but they can also be checked by parliament.
Yes.
Because they will come with a law. I want power to be carrying a gun. But then the parliament, who are also our representative, are going to sit there and say, we can't trust you with a gun.
Yes.
So therefore you will not get a gun, although you wanted a gun. An independent legislature, is very useful in ensuring the power of the executive is managed. You create law. Even if there is something they are doing, the president does not want, a person in parliament will come and create another law that negates the previous law.
Excellent.
And of course, the big issue is the constitution. Having a constitution that allows all these 3 or 4 instruments. I've talked about the executive, the judiciary, the electoral commission, and the legislature. All of them are within the constitution. Now, but let me now come to the question most Kenyans are giving. My personal view. America uses a presidential system. And even somebody like they have elected, who is called Trump, is having a lot of difficulty. America, the other day we heard about the American government on a shutdown. Parliament shuts it down. Nothing can happen. May in Britain follows a different system. She is following a parliamentary system. But it's also in trouble with her parliament. So you can see clearly whether you go parliamentary system or presidential system, without controls, it will not work.
That's true.
So people think that the solution to Kenya is getting more people into leadership. But if there are 5 of them, they can collude. Just need to meet in one person's house and agree to eat up the people. Now, so no system will work without checks. Not individuals checking, but systems, structures that are checking each other. So it needs to be understood that Britain is not undemocratic, but it uses a parliamentary system. America is not undemocratic because it uses the presidential system. You can see their system, both countries have checks and balances that ensure that no dictator can control the whole country. So what's my recommendation for Kenya? Do not start thinking there will be a solution just out of one system or the other. Put many checks. Remove ensure that the president power is checked. He can't do just what he wants. There are things that are checked. But he's given enough room to do good. but he's checked that doesn't do bad. Whether he's called a prime minister or a president, the critical thing is that he has checks that ensure he does not do the wrong thing. Yeah.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, we are more insightful, and we hope that this nation will borrow a leaf from this discussion on matters governance. Until next time, keep glowing as a leader. Thank you.
We are the new generation. We are the youth of the nation. High in the sky. We are the new generation. Leader.